ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनम हृद्यन्तस्य भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाध्य सर्वलोकैक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिदन्तोतितादित्या श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाथाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वद सर्वसेवाय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगेन मद गुरुन् मद महाधन मद निष्ठारक मद भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधु तादा इन अति नीच ताकरा हाना मुंचा कदातिन माम प्रेम न हृत कंथयो स्पुरः। O Srimad Bhagavatam, O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O uplifter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Accompanied by pure love of Krishna, please manifest yourself in my heart and throat. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So thank you so much for joining. So we are in the fourth canto, fourth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter title Sati quits her body. Right. So let's do a quick overview. We are, I think, in text number 15. Yeah. Or 16 maybe. Okay, no, 15 or 16. We'll go to that. So what did we see in this chapter? So we saw that how after listening to Lord Shiva, Sati was in a situation where on one side she had the fear of Lord Shiva's instructions to her that she should not go. On other side, her strong desire to see her relatives. And she was torn between these two things, the fear of Lord Shiva versus the desire to see her relatives. And it had been a very long time since she had seen her relatives, so that desire was very strong. And then Lord Shiva knew that in either cases, Sati would be this, one way, what's the right word? Destroyed in both the cases. Why destroyed in both the cases? Because if she did not go, her desire is so strong that she would not be able to survive. If she went, then Lord Shiva knew that she would be insulted and she would not be able to tolerate that. So either cases, Sati would actually be destroyed. Right? And then Sati, because she was torn between these two things, and then because her desire was so strong, she just like quickly just walked out, not giving a chance to Lord Shiva to again stop her. And then she just went. And then the followers of Lord Shiva, by the thousands is described, they understood Lord Shiva's mind, that Lord Shiva would not want her to go alone, and then they actually all started following Sati. And then it's described that how did Sati go? How did she go to her father's place? Should she go quietly? No. Then it's described, the verse says that there were like drums and bugles, and like Nandi was in front, and there were like thousands of followers, and then there was like a whole procession with a singing party, and it was like a royal parade. And why is this described? If you visualize that, yes, Daksha is doing this huge sacrifice, and if you visualize that a big party is coming, and party who is actually headed by whom? The pet daughter of Daksha. Right? And then when Sati actually came to the assembly, the whole party arrived, then Sati was not received properly, and also the other is described, the Brahmanas, other people, they wanted to show respect to Lord Sati and to actually welcome her, but because of fear of Daksha, who was actually the head, the organizer of the head of the Prajapati and the organizer of the sacrifice, they actually did not show respect to her. The only ones who actually showed that respect was the sisters and the mother, right? And because Prabhupada makes the point that, because their affection is so natural, that no external or artificial circumstance can stop their flow of love. So the sisters and the mothers, they actually welcome Sati, and they gave a good reception to Sati, and then they actually even offered gifts to Sati. But Sati did not accept the gifts. Why? Because of the neglect by her own father. And she was thinking like, Daksha did not even welcome. And not only that, she actually saw, what did she see in the assembly? That when the Brahmanas were chanting different mantras to offer oblations, they did not chant the mantra for Lord Shiva. And not only that, like every demigod had a place for them to sit and accept the offering. And Lord Shiva did not even have a place assigned for him where he can sit and accept the offerings. And one point in Prabhupada's purport, we read that how Sati's main reason for coming was what? Yes, she wanted to see her relatives, but beyond that, she wanted to, kind of glorify her husband and re-establish the glories of her husband to her father. Somehow explain to her father, oh, father, you are actually under the wrong impression about Lord Shiva, who is actually such a great personality. So in her heart, she somehow wanted to, convince her father about the glories of her husband. So that was her internal desire. But when she saw how Lord Shiva was openly insulted, in the sense that not given offering, his mantras are not being chanted when Lord Shiva is actually the head, one way, like the best of the demigods, right? So when she saw this, then she could not tolerate it. And then in front of everyone there, Sati actually, she became angry, she became sorrowful, and she started to condemn this process of yajna. Right? And then what is the point we read? That this is text number 10. Coming back to the theme, the overall theme of the fourth canto is what? Third canto is, okay, just is trying to destroy our enjoying tendency and saying that, okay, if you want to enjoy also, there's a Vedic way of doing it. And fourth canto is saying, yes, Vedic way of doing it is nice, but there are some, if you're actually just focusing on the yagya, forgetting the purpose behind it, forgetting the transformation that the yajna is supposed to bring, and just if you are attached to the ritualistic part of the Vedas, then it is actually a problem. And we see here how Sati actually, she condemns sacrifice. In text 10, she actually says that she was condemning Daksha and this process of the sacrificial fruitive activities performed by those who are proud of such troublesome sacrifices. And then Sati starts speaking from text 11. And then in 11, we actually saw that how she said that, who except you can hate Lord Shiva? He has the qualities of, there's no one superior or a rival to Lord Shiva. Right? Ati Shayanaha. Then second, to whom no one is dear or inimical, who is most beloved of all, who is the soul of all beings, who is without enemy. Right? So one who has these five qualities, who would actually, criticize him except for you, right? Except for you, you are actually finding fault even in a personality who has these five glorious qualities, right? And then in text 12, we saw this, the best of the sadhus, right? And the worst of the asadhus, right? Everyone remembers this? Like 4 and 4, right? So in 12, she actually makes the point that what is the glory of Lord Shiva? That Lord Shiva does not see fault in anyone. On the other hand, any small quality he sees, he greatly magnifies it. How we say, fan the spark. He sees a spark and then he fans it. Right? On the other hand, what is Daksha's position? Even though there is no fault, he will actually find fault in that person. Right? And in that case, we read these four categories of sadhu and asadhu. Sadhu, Mahatara, Mahatama, and Ati Mahatma. Right? What is sadhu? Sadhu is who accepts even faults in others, that thinking that this fault is there, but eventually that fault will get transformed into a good quality, and that's a sadhu. Next level, Mahatara, he overlooks the faults. He says fault is there, but he ignores. He only sees good qualities. Then third level, he takes small good qualities and he magnifies it, and he does not see the small faults. And the fourth one, he sees good qualities in others when there are none. So this is Lord Shiva. He is Ati Mahatma, that even though there are no good qualities, he will actually see, oh, this person is so, right? And what was the example of Lord Shiva doing that? Even those who are those in the mode of ignorance, right? When we see how Lord Shiva is merciful to those who are in the mode of ignorance, even though they have no good qualities, still Lord Shiva sees some good quality and says, you come to me, right? And hence we have these ghosts and goblins as the followers of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is giving mercy to them, even to the most fallen, by seeing something good, even though there is actually no good quality. And this is, one way you can say that this is uh, the mood of compassion, right? The mood of Nityananda, the mood of our spiritual master. What is Nityananda mood, right? Akrodha Paramananda Nityananda, right? He does not see anyone's fault. He just sees, oh, here is a jiva. Let him be blessed by the mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. That is the mood of Nityananda Prabhu. And that is what Lord Shiva is actually exhibiting. That even though there are no good qualities, he's like just compassion. His compassion is flowing. Even though someone may want to hurt him, but still he's like, no, no, please come. Somehow or other, I want to bless you with Krishna consciousness because that is the highest gift I can give you. Right? And then on the other, the negative side, we have asadhu, we have asadhutara, we have asadhutama, and ati asadhutama. Right? So asadhu is things that someone's good qualities will turn into false. You see something good, someone is helping you, and then what do you think? Oh, he wants my money, and that's why he's helping, right? So that is asadhu, right? Then after that, asadhutara, he sees faults only, overlooking the good qualities. Asadhutama takes small faults and magnifies them, seeing no good qualities. And ati asadhutama sees only faults in others, even though there are no faults. And this is the position of Daksha, right? So that's why she has actually pointed out the glory of Lord Shiva and the fault in Daksha. Right? And then text 13, we actually read about the dust of a Vaishnava, that it says that it's not surprising that those who have accepted the dead body as the self, they always criticize great souls. Why? Because of envy. Right? So the point is made that as the dust of the feet of a Vaishnava can actually give us devotion to Krishna, can give us the highest perfection. And similarly, the same dust, if someone actually offends a Vaishnava, the Vaishnava does not mind it. But the dust of the Vaishnava will not tolerate it. Krishna will not tolerate it, right? And hence, here she's making the point that because you have criticized such a great Vaishnava, your glory is going to be diminished, right? And then, eva shobhanam, this will actually bestow the appropriate result upon you. Okay, and then text 14, we see how she makes the point that Lord Shiva's name is actually consisting of two letters. Right? Merely by pronouncing the name of Lord Shiva, Sakrit, even once, not many times, or and inattentively, even once, if the name is chanted, what happens? Agam asu hanti, right? It says immediately it destroys the sinful activities. Pavitram kirti, whose fame is pure, right? And whose order is never neglected. So she's saying Lord Shiva's name is so auspicious that once chanting the name, all our sinful activities will be destroyed. Right? So one way she's glorified the name of Lord Shiva, the qualities of Lord Shiva, and also the power of Lord Shiva. Did we discuss this was okay? So anyway, here here, one point the Prabhupada makes in the purport is that anyone who takes shelter of Lord Shiva, he gradually comes to the understanding that I am the spirit soul, not this body. And then further, Prabhupada says that as long as one does not come to the position of understanding we are spirit soul, everything is inauspicious. Auspiciousness starts when we understand who we are, what is our position, right? And if someone approaches Lord Shiva, he will create that auspiciousness by bringing us to the platform of understanding how we are the spirit soul. But then Prabhupada says, those who are followers of Lord Shiva, they may stop at that point and understand, I am spirit soul, right? Who is this Prabhupada referring to? The Mayavadis, like those who are following Shankaracharya, right? And they come to a platform, Aham Brahmasmi, and then they stop. They don't go beyond and understand that there is a source to the spirit soul, right? So, but actually, just those who are really intelligent, they should not just stop at understanding Aham Brahmasmi, but they should come to the point of following in the footsteps of Lord Shiva. And following what? Not Lord Shiva's drinking poison. Follow the absorption of Lord Shiva, right? How Lord Shiva is always absorbed in thought of Vasudeva. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Saptitam. That is the position of Lord Shiva, right? He's always in the Vasudeva platform, right? He's always in that spiritual platform. So those who are really devotees of Lord Shiva, they should aspire to come to this Vasudeva platform. Right, and the auspicious position of Lord Shiva is realized when one takes the worship of Vishnu. Aradhnam sarvesham Vishnur aradhnam param tasmat parataram devi tadyanam samachara. Lord Shiva himself is saying the best form of worship is what? Aradhnam sarvesham Vishnur aradhnam param. Lord Shiva is telling Parvati best form of worship is Vishnu. But higher than that is to worship the devotees of Lord Vishnu. Okay, so now text 15. I think we discussed 15 also, right? Yeah, so in 15, here it says, Yet Pada Padmam, the lotus feet of whom, Manaha Alibihi, the bees of the mind that engaged in the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, then those personalities, and there are two categories, and Prabhupada extends that to three categories in the purport. One is Mahatam, the higher personalities who are seeking the Brahma Ras or the bliss of Brahmananda, right? That's first category. And second is Lokasya, common men. Tasmai Bhavan Dhruvati. You are envious of such a person who is the friend of all living entities within the three worlds. How is Lord Shiva the friend? Because those who are grossly materialistic, they will take shelter of Lord Shiva. Why? Because Lord Shiva is Ashritosh. He'll quickly satisfy their desire. And by satisfying their desire, what is Lord Shiva doing? He is actually one way saying, okay, dharma, artha, kama. He's fulfilling their kama. But after fulfilling, people will understand. I'm trying to fulfill, but I'm not getting satisfaction. So hence they will aspire for moksha. So in that way, he's actually blessing the materialist people. And then how is he actually blessing those who are mahatam, right? So those who are seeking Brahmananda. Then basically it makes the point here that again continuing the flow from dharma artha kama, he fulfills the desires of the materialists. At the same time, those who are frustrated, those who are aspiring for liberation, then Lord Shiva actually helps them also. So both those who are aspiring for liberation and the materialistic, Lord Shiva is a friend of both. And Prabhupada explains even the third category, how Vaishnavas, how they worship Lord Shiva, how as Gopeshwar Mahadev, as the one who is the protector of the Dham. So everyone, all living entities are actually approach Lord Shiva, except you are actually criticizing Lord Shiva. Okay, so that's an overview. So we'll go on, start with text number 16, and this conversation goes until text 23. Okay, so we'll read that and then we'll continue. So, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam, Jai Sada Prabhupada. Prabhuji, in this table, from sadhu to ati asadhutma, Lord Shiva is ati mahatma. He doesn't see faults in anyone. He sees only good qualities. And Daksha is ati asadhutma. He's even if there are no faults in Lord Shiva, he's seeing the faults. But where the sati comes into this table?
So did we discuss the point about how sati, it actually will come later. I don't think we came to that verse. Did we discuss that point about how sati here, one way she is not criticizing, I mean she is criticizing Daksha, but actually her point here is, did we discuss this? Maybe not, right? It will come. It will come in the next section. So, Mataji, just wait on to your point. So, it is not, one way Sati is not criticizing just for the sake of criticizing. She is not finding faults like, oh, he has no faults, but finding faults. She is actually trying to rectify him. And there is a difference between just criticizing and trying to actually give good advice to someone who is actually criticizing Vaishnavas, right? So, she is not a sadhu or any of those negative. She is actually protecting a Vaishnava, right? And one way, by glorifying Lord Shiva, she's actually even protecting Daksha, because Daksha is committing Vaishnava Prad and she's actually protecting him. So she is none of the negative four.
Thank
It
you so
comes
much.
it comes in one of the verses later, so we'll come to that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other points or realizations after this? Everyone okay so far? Yes? Okay. So let's continue. Text number 16.
Kim va shivakyam ashivam na vedustvadanye brahmadayastam avikirya jatasmashane tanmalya bhashman rikapalya vasat pishachar ye murdarbhir dadhati tachcharanavarshishtam. Vrindavan Vilasani Mataji.
Do you think that greater, more respectful personalities than you, such as Lord Brahma, do not know this inauspicious person who goes under the name Lord Shiva? He associates with the demons in the crematorium. His locks of hair are scattered all over his body. He is garlanded with human skulls and smeared with ashes from the crematorium. But in spite of all these inauspicious qualities, great personalities like Brahma honor him by accepting the flowers offered to his lotus feet and placing them with great respect on their heads. Hare Krishna.
So, if you see in the previous chapter, how actually in chapter number 2, when Daksha was criticizing Lord Shiva, what did he say? Oh, Lord Shiva has avikirya jataha, right? The words which are there here, avikirya jataha means his hairs are scattered all over. Smashane, he's actually in the crematorium, right? And then it says tat malya bhasma. How is he? What is he smeared all over his body? He smeared ash all over his body. What is his garland? Vaijanti Mala? No, his garland is actually made of skulls, right? Now here, what is Sati saying? So Daksha used these points to say that, see Lord Shiva, how degraded he is. But Sati is using the same points and making the point here, Kimva Shiva Akhyam Ashiva. Anyone other than you, do you know, like anyone other than you who knows a personality by name Lord Shiva who is actually inauspicious, Ashivam? No one. It's only you who think Shiva to be a Shivam, right? Shiva Akhyam a Shivam. Only you think that this Shiva is actually a Shiva. When Brahma Adaya, great personalities, including Brahma, na vidhu, they do not know anyone inauspicious by the name Shiva. And then further, all these 4 points, where she is scattered hair, crematorium, garlanded with human skulls and associated with demons, in spite of all these qualities, right? Great personalities like Brahma and other, what do? Murda bhir, last line. The dahati tat charana avasrishtam. That here it says they actually accept flowers and water remnants which is offered to the lotus feet of Lord Shiva with great respect on their head. Brahma and others, they take the water which is actually washed Lord Shiva and they put it on their head. They take the flowers from his feet, put it on their head. And you know, when Brahma and all such personalities are actually understanding the glories of Lord Shiva, it is only you who actually see Shiva as a Shiva, right? And Prabhupada in the purport, he points out that how Lord Shiva's position is even greater than Brahma, right? Brahma is actually one way of worshipping Lord Shiva. Why? Because Brahma is also mostly a Jiva Tattva. But what is Lord Shiva's position? He is actually in between Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva. Right? He has his own Tattva, which is known as Shiva Tattva. And Prabhupada quotes Brahma Samhita, which is the verse? Shiram yathadadi vikara vishesha yogat. Right? Just like milk and yogurt. If Vishnu is like milk, then Lord Shiva is like yogurt. So one way they are almost similar category, but still there is a difference, a transformation, because milk is transformed into yogurt by certain agents. Similarly, Vishnu has become Lord Shiva to actually interact with this material nature. Right? So here Prabhupada is explaining Lord Shiva's position is so glorious, even Brahmaji actually worships the water that's actually washed his lotus feet. Right? And then here Prabhupada makes a point. He says Sati here is actually, Sati means a chaste woman. It is a duty of a chaste woman to establish the elevated position of her husband, here Lord Shiva. And right. And Sati here has come to her father's place to convince her father not to be envious of such a personality. And this is a nice point, right? When someone is envious of another person, you can come and say, you are envious of this. You are finding fault with him. But so and so personality, this guru actually glorifies him and respects him, and then so and so. When Brahma is actually worshipping him, why are you finding faults with him? Right? So that's the point. Okay, text 17.
Karnopidaya nirayadyara kalpa ishe dharma vitarya srinibhir nirbhir asyamane chindyat prasaya rushatim asatim prabhushchid jivam asunnapitato visrijet sadharmaha.
So this is actually answer to Vrindavan Vilasi Mata's question. Okay, translation.
Translation. Sati continued. If one hears an irresponsible person blaspheme the master and controller of religion, one should block his ears and go away if unable to punish him. But if one is able to kill, then one should by force cut out the blasphemer's tongue and kill the offender. and after that one should give up his own life. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so here what does it say? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually explains the thinking of Daksha, and he says that Daksha is saying, um, you're describing that, okay, there are these four categories of good people, and while describing them, you say a good person is one who actually does not see faults in others. Yet you are seeing faults in me. Yet you are criticizing me. I am a Brahmana. I am the chief Prajapati. I am your father. So you are saying that I am in the category of Ati Asadhutama, but actually you are criticizing me, right? Aren't you in that position? And then Sati is actually in response, she says, what to speak of criticizing you? I have committed a great offense to Lord Shiva because what to talk of criticize, I should have killed myself. The point that I have not killed myself, I have not given up my life, that means I have committed an offense to Lord Shiva. So she's saying, what to talk of criticizing you? I am actually committing an offense by still maintaining my life. So Sati, she's not criticizing, but she's actually defending the glories of the greatest of all Vaishnavas. Right? And there is a big difference between criticizing someone and defending the glory of a Vaishnava. And Sati is not criticizing in that way just for out of envy or, right, out of envy, but she is here actually defending the glories of Lord Shiva. Right? So here in the Sanskrit we see 17, it says Karnopidaya. Karnopidaya means one should block both the ears, or one should nirayad, one should go away. If you hear the criticism of a Vaishnava, what should you do? If someone criticizes a Vaishnava in front of you, what you should do? Close your ears. Right? Block your ears, or you should go away. Then further, yet if akalpaha, if you are unable to do this, chindayat, to punish him. So if it's not possible to do these two, then you should kill him or kill oneself. Right? So first option, block your ears. Second, you actually go away. Third option, you kill yourself or kill the other person. Right? Ishe dharma avitari nribhi asyamane. If dharma avitari, a person who is the master, a controller of religion, is blasphemed by asyamane, by irresponsible. So if a person who is following dharma is blasphemed by irresponsible people, then this is what you should do. Right? Then further here in the verse is prasahya rushatam asatim prabhu set jivam. Right? If possible, one should by force cut out the blasphemous tongue, or asun, kill the offender. Tata vishrej, after that one should give up his own life, right, as atonement for hearing that criticism. Sadharma, this is dharma. Imagine when we talk of, like, everywhere we see how much Vaishnav aparad we are being warned again and again that we should protect ourselves from Vaishnava aparad. And here in this verse it actually says, if you hear the blasphemy of a Vaishnava, what you should do. Right? First is what? Block your ears. Second is go away. Third, she says, kill yourself or kill the other person. Oh my gosh, imagine that. And then here it says, then, if possible, one should by force cut out the blasphemous tongue and kill the offender. After that, one should give up his own life. Why? Because here we heard the blasphemy of such a great Vaishnava, of a Vaishnava. Right? So this is Saha Dharma. If you see the last two words, this is true Dharma. Right? So here, why is Sati making this point? Because Daksha might think you're criticizing me. And here Sati in response is saying, this is what I should do. I should actually either kill you or I should take away my life. So Prabhupada purport explains that one destroys, criticize. Yeah. Okay. So one destroys the criticizer's unlimited pain in hell. So there is no sin in actually killing him. By killing him, we are actually protecting that criticizer's suffering in hell. Right? And then if you're a Kshatriya, then Kshatriya is qualified for punishing. So Kshatriya, if you're a Kshatriya, you can cut off the tongue or you can kill the other person. If you're a Vaishya or a Shudra, then you punish themselves by giving up your life, right? Because a Vaishya and Shudra would not kill, so you give up your life. A Brahmana, for a Brahmana, it's not proper to give up his life, so he should block ears and remember Vishnu and go away. So based on which varna we are, based on that, it is given what we should do when Vaishnavas are blaspheming. So if you're a Brahmana, then it's not proper for a Brahmana to give his life or take someone's life. So you just block your ears. You remember Vishnu. In the mood of remorse, you remember Vishnu and then you walk away. If you're a Kshatriya, then you are qualified to punish. So you punish that person by cutting off his tongue or killing him. If you're a Vaishya or a Shudra, you actually give up your own life. And here, Prabhupada actually explains, Sati was thinking herself among the Shudras and the Vaishyas, and right. So hence she was thinking that I cannot kill Daksha. It would not right. It would not be right for me to kill Daksha because he's a Brahmana. He's my father, and here he's the chief of Prajapati. So what I should do? I should kill myself. Right. So that is Sati's thinking. Right. So one should not, Prabhupada makes a point, one should not tolerate at any cost activities of person who actually blasphemes the Vaishnavas. Okay. So basically, Prabhupada in the purport towards the end, he says that by this statement, she decided to give up her life. And that's what we are going to see, how Sati gives up her life. Okay? Everyone okay on this verse? What we should do when we hear the blasphemy of a Vaishnava. Okay.
In modern context, we wouldn't kill.
Yeah, I mean, we are not now, because the varnas are not so defined, we cannot say, oh, I am a Kshatriya, I can do this, right? But what we can do is like here how we see how Sati is defending that Vaishnava. If we are in a position, we should defend that Vaishnava. How can you blaspheme? When great personalities, they are giving him so much respect or her so much respect, how can you blaspheme? Or we can still do that. If we are not in a position to defend, then we can close our ears, we can walk away. Or you can say, Prabhu, I'm getting an important call. I need to take this call and just leave. So at any cost, don't let the poison enter our consciousness. This is the real poison.
People who are so envious, who have so much poison in them, who can't see the good qualities in others and criticize even great Vaishnavas, they don't even listen. The best way is just walk away. Cover your ears and walk away.
Right. So, if it is someone who is like a person who is newer to Krishna consciousness and he's finding some fault, then if you're senior in that way, then you can actually say, how can you find fault? I mean, like how they say, like it is also a fault to identify a Vaishnava by Jati Buddhi, right? Jati in the sense like by saying, oh, this is an American Vaishnava, and sometimes people newer to Krishna consciousness may say, oh, this is an Indian Vaishnava. And Indian Vaishnavas are better than American Vaishnavas. They may say all these things, but that is actually not right. We shouldn't actually distinguish based on where that person is, because the point that he has taken a spiritual life, that way he has actually given up his identification with the body. Then if we are still identifying with the body, then that is actually an offense. Okay.
Prabhu, I was wondering how exemplary character is Sati. I mean, she is giving such profound, philosophy. And I'm sure she's not just speaking, like a poker face, but she will be sobbing, crying, emotional at the same time, giving like hardcore answers, So how powerful, like,
Yeah.
character is that?
And like Sati is speaking in front of who? All the sages. Everyone is assembled there.
Yeah.
And she's giving all these instructions. It's not
Then
she's just
people like
speaking
Bhrigu,
directly to what?
riches like Bhrigu, Brahma are
Yeah.
sitting.
All these personalities are actually there. And like all the sages, everyone is there. And she's actually speaking in front of everyone, glorifying, defending the glory of Lord Shiva.
I was thinking on this point that Prabhu, when we are when we hear of Siddhanta, we should not be thinking that, oh, he is so great, I should not speak in. But if you have a proper Siddhantic answer or evidence to it, you should be fearless and speak it, even if it is an assembly of people that are so called, you because if she was fixing not only Daksha Prabhu, she was fixing the entire assembly about the consciousness that they have developed to Lord Shiva. You know, that Brahmanas could also get a reality check that you know this is truth. As I last time also, I was really moved with this point that how can Brahmanas be scared? That means they are not Brahmanas.
Yeah. When they were all, because they had accepted Daksha as their authority. So even though they may not have that direct envy, but by following Daksha and taking his side when he is actually blaspheming Lord Shiva, they were actually at fault. They were at fault.
Prabhu, in Chaitanya Bhagavat, there is this chapter, no, where Lord Advaita Acharya Nityananda Prabhu was quote unquote like fighting in Shantipur.
Yeah.
At the end, Vinod Sas Thakur says, anybody who takes sides of any of these two is annihilated
Yeah.
completely.
So there it is because that interaction is on the transcendental platform, So there, if you take sides, and when like two great Vaishnavas are discussing, and they may also have a point of arguing on so and so point, saying that, oh no, we should do this like this, we should do that. And if we are just like a beginner and both of them are elevated Vaishnava, then we should not take sides and say like, oh, this is this, or he's right, he's wrong, because we cannot understand their level of discussion.
Sati is no ordinary soul. She is Lord's external energy. If she wants, she can destroy the universe, what to speak of Daksha. But
Right.
since she chose to just
So
give her own body, yeah.
So that is basically the next verse. Let's read that. 18. We'll see the power of Sati. Go ahead.
Text 18. Atastavotpanamidam kalevaram nadharayishye shitikantagarhinaha jagdhasya mohadhi mandaso jugupsitasyodaranam prachakshate.
Translation. Therefore I shall no longer bear this unworthy body, which has been received from you, who have blasphemed Lord Shiva. If someone has taken food which is poisonous, the best treatment is to vomit. Hare Krishna.
So here, Prabhupada in the purport, we'll start with the purport. Here, Prabhupada says Sati is a representation of the external potency of the Lord. And she can destroy, what to talk of Daksha, she can destroy universes together. That is the power of Sati. So could Sati have killed Daksha? Yes, in a moment she could have just killed. She had the power. But why did she not do it? Because she was thinking, if I kill Daksha right now, first of all, he's a Brahmana, he's my father, but what will people say? Oh, Shiva killed Daksha through his wife. And which will actually not be a fame on Lord Shiva, And because she was so concerned about the glory of Lord Shiva, she did not want people to bring the criticism of her action on Lord Shiva. Hence, she decided here. So this verse actually says, Ataha, therefore, Tava Utpana, I have received this body from you. Now she's feeling like, this body I have received from you, a blasphemer. I will not, na dharayishe. I will not bear this body anymore. Why? Shitikanta Garina. You have blasphemed Lord Shiva. Because you have used your body to blaspheme Lord Shiva, and I have obtained this body from you. I am a product of, coming from you. Hence, I'm not going to maintain this body anymore. Right? And then she gives an example. If someone has eaten Vishuddham, uh, uh, sorry, Jugupsita, Jugupsi Tasya. Right? We see this word in the first canto, 5th chapter, right? Jugusitam. So here it says poisonous. If someone has eaten poisonous food, what one should do? One should just throw it out. Right? One should just vomit it. Therefore, I will perform atonement for myself. And then basically she's saying, I will going to give up my body. Right? Right. Okay. So text number 19.
न वेदवादम् अनुवर्तते मतिः स्व एव लोके रमतो महामुनेः यथा गतिर्देव मनुष्ययो पृथक् स्व एव धर्मेण परं क्षिपेत् स्थितः.
Hare Krishna. It is better to execute one's own occupational duty than to criticize others. Elevated transcendentalists may sometimes forego the rules and regulations of the Vedas since they do not need to follow them, just as the demigods travel in space whereas ordinary men travel on the surface of the earth. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So here, what does she say? Na Veda Vadan Anuvartate Mati. So in the previous verse, she was actually making the point that she said, this body which I obtained from you can be purified only by giving up. Just like if you eat some poisonous food, the only way you can purify it is you throw it up and you vomit it. And sometimes they do this, right? If someone eats something poisonous, then they'll actually give some, I know, like soap water, sometimes they drink because that makes you throw up the thing, right? So similarly here she's thinking that because I obtained this body from you, it can be purified only by giving up. And then further here, she continues and she says, because in the previous, in chapter number 2, Daksha criticized Lord Shiva as one who does not follow the Vedas. So here she's actually responding to that and saying, Na Veda Vadan anuvartate matihi. Right? So no rules and regulations of the Vedas for those who are matihi swe eva. Right? Certainly in his own mind, loke ramata, enjoying self, mahamunehe. So for those who are elevated transcendentalists, who are actually tushtaha, who are actually atmaram, for them they don't need to follow the rules and regulations of the Vedas. Right? And then further, yatha, as gatihi deva manusha pratak, the right, just like the ways of the men and the demigods are separate, right? One should focus on one's own dharma, na param shipet, and one should not criticize others' dharma. Right? So, what is Sati's point here? Just like men and demigods, they have the separate way, in the sense as what the Prabhupada explained. Like, how do demigods travels in space? When demigods have to go from one place to another, they don't have to travel. Okay, now I'll take the my car. I have to go through this, cross this, and cross. They have their own vimana, one place to another in a moment. So they don't travel like how human beings do. For human being to travel, we have to do all this endeavor, cross through jungles, or cross through so many places to reach from point A to point B. But demigods, they have a different way of traveling. So that is the difference between how the demigods travel and the human beings travel, as an example, right? So here, hence she's making the point, Swe eva dharma. One should focus on one's own dharma, do not criticize others' dharma, right? So hence she's saying, Daksha, don't criticize Lord Shiva. You cannot understand Lord Shiva's position. And for those who are as glorious as Lord Shiva, they do not need to follow the rules and regulations of the Vedas.
Prabhuji, quick question. Who is she referring to as elevated transcendentalists in this?
Lord
Is she referring to somebody?
Lord Shiva, right?
So she's saying that he is able to forgo the rules and regulations of the Vedas and do things differently. Is that what she's
Yeah.
saying?
Because she's making the point, because Lord Shiva is. See, if you see the Vedic rules and regulations, what are the Vedic rules and regulations? In general, they are rules and regulations for us, conditioned souls, to come to the platform where we are rectified and we come to the higher platform and finally come to the spiritual platform. But those who are already on the spiritual platform, do they need to follow all these rules and regulations? No. They may do it as setting an example for others, but as such, they are not required to follow all these rules and regulations. Right?
Okay.
Like in the sense, like you're driving a car. Okay, you have some traffic rules. A stop sign, you have to stop. If someone is taking a flight, like he has something that flies, why does he have to follow those rules and regulation, traffic rules? Because he's above that platform, right? So similarly here, Lord Shiva is above. He is already purified. He is actually that elevated personality. He does not need to follow all these rules and regulations. Like even in Bhagavad Gita, in the 3rd chapter, Krishna actually makes this point that how those who are elevated, they don't need to follow these principles of, like, karma yoga, in the sense that, what's the point in 3rd chapter? Krishna says, yes, he actually gives his own example, and he actually gives the example of Janak Maharaj, and he said they are all elevated, they don't need to follow all the, but still, why do they do it? Yet Acharya Shreshthas Tattva Devatejana, to set the example for others. So they may do it to set an example, but as such, they don't need to follow all these rules. And so she's making the point that you are criticizing that Lord Shiva is not following these Vedic rules, but he did not need to follow these Vedic rules. And therefore, you focus on your dharma. What is your position, you follow. Right? You will not understand Lord Shiva's glories that way.
Prabhuji, sorry, Mataji, go ahead.
Good, Mataji.
Prabhuji, what I'm having trouble understanding is, here we see that, and to Mataji's point, Sati is so exalted. She kind of understands the glories of Lord Shiva, and she's able to stand in front of that whole assembly and justify or portray to them that what they're doing is wrong, because Shiva is such a great personality. But on the other hand, she also shows weakness, or does not portray that same understanding when Lord Shiva and Sati go to visit Rishi Agastya, right? Where when Lord Shiva bows down and offers his pranams to Rishi, and Sati on the other hand is thinking that, why should I just do what my husband is doing? I don't think Rishi Agastya is worth that, and she stops listening to everything that the Rishi has to is giving. So how do we try to understand? On one side, she's so exalted, she understands it, and on the other side, she portrays that weakness. So how do we try to understand that?
I'm not aware of the story of this Agastya Rishi. So she does not offer obeisances?
Yeah, so she goes to sleep, right? She thinks that this is when and after which they go into the forest, and she sees Lord Ramachandra trying to is lamenting for Sita, and she says, I'm going to test. I don't believe this is God himself, because he's crying.
Yeah.
And because she has not heard anything that Rishi has to say, whereas Lord Shiva has heard everything, and he knows that, you know, Lord Ramachandra is none other than
Yeah. I mean, this,
Vishnu.
yeah. So this comes to a point that how, we explained before that, in this, like in the previous chapter, when in the starting, we read the point that how Lord Shiva, he remembered the insults of Daksha. And then in that section, we discussed the point that how Lord Shiva, though he is the controller of the modes of material nature, mode of ignorance, at certain times he may be influenced by the mode, right? So, giving that example, we may say for even Sati, even though Sati is so exalted that she can destroy uh, the universes, is the external manifestation of the energy of the Lord, right? She is Maya Devi herself, even though she is so exalted, but because she is in charge, she's interacting with the material energy, she may at times be influenced by the material energy. So that is one point. Other point is also sometimes when we are reading these stories, it is more of a pastime where someone is actually shown to actually be um, making a fault, but as such it is not a fault, but it is a pastime for us to learn something. So both aspects may be there. Like, I'm not sure of the details of the story you're saying, but both these aspects can be seen. Sometimes because they're interacting with the material energy so closely, they may actually get influenced by that material energy. And second is, it may be just a pastime for us to teach, to learn a particular lesson. Right? So both of these may be there. So even though someone may be so elevated, they may be showing something to us. Does that help?
Yeah, but then how do we try to understand this? Because we, as such minuscule jivas, like, we have absolutely no qualification to try to accomplish what even these great souls could be. What am so we are trying to get away from the influence of Maya.
Yes.
And I guess I'm trying to answer my own question by saying that, you have to look at all these stories and then say, okay, we cannot overcome all this, so we have to take shelter of the Lord. That's the ultimate.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Yeah. I
how
mean,
I'm answering
yeah,
my question.
sure.
Yeah.
That Maya is so strong that even great
Yeah.
personalities may be bewildered. So how we have to be so
Yes.
careful of Maya, and the
Okay.
only way we can actually be protected is when we are always under the Daivi Shakti. That means we are under the shelter of the internal potency of the Lord.
That's our only way to get.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. So Prabhupada in the purport, he actually explains this and says, behavior of the most elevated transcendences and the most fallen condition. So externally, even though it appears the same, it is not the same. All right. So Lord Shiva appears that he is not following the rules and regulations of the Vedas. So if you see Lord Shiva and you see a conditioned soul, you must say, like, both of them are not following the Vedas, but we should not equate them, because we should understand that Lord Shiva is not affected. He does not need to follow all this, but the conditioned soul has to follow the rules and regulations of the Vedas. Right? If he does not follow, a conditioned soul will be punished. But Lord Shiva is actually beyond all that. And then example is given, one powerful like the sun or fire. There is no consideration of purity or impurity. Like Prabhupada gives an example that even if sun comes in contact with some contaminated water, the sun will purify that. Right? But if we get in touch with some contaminated water, we have to purify ourselves. Right? But the sun does not need that purification. So similarly, the point is said that Lord Shiva, he does not need to, follow these rules and regulations. So your criticism of him is not valid. Therefore, just focus on your own dharma and not criticize others. I was thinking of this also on a practical level, that sometimes we may not be able to understand, others' activities. Right? But just focus. Sometimes it may be important. Let me just focus on what is the right thing for me to do right now. rather than judging and trying to understand other personality, right? So, okay. Everyone okay so far? Okay,
Prabhu,
thanks.
I was saying that Lord Shiva actually mentions that couple of verses when he's speaking to Sati, that how he's so transcendental that he has no control over his samadhi standards. When the Lord Vishuddha, Vasudeva were, so beautiful. I was just thinking at that point, he's so helplessly telling that, I have no control. I'm in so much love that ecstasy, rolls out any moment, and I am beyond I am
Yeah.
myself in control over my externals. So, I mean, how can he be at that point when he's so ecstatic, follow Vedic rules and regulations?
Yes, exactly. That's a good point. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the purport, he quotes two verses from the 10th canto, from 10:33, 32, right? And in this verse in Bhagavatam it says, "My dear Lord, when these great persons who are free from false ego act piously in this world, they have no selfish motives to fulfill. And even when they act in apparent contradiction," so this is the point, even when great souls, when they act in apparent contradiction to the laws of piety, they are not subject to sinful reactions. Right? So Vishwanath Thakur is quoting this verse as a proof that why Lord Shiva, even though if he does not follow rules and regulations, he is not affected by sinful reactions. Okay. Text 20.
Karma.
Verse number, Prabhu? Just the verse numbers.
10:33, 32 and 10:33, 35. So both of them are actually establishing this point that one who is elevated, who is transcendental, he need not follow these rules and regulations. He will not be affected by the reactions of not following rules and regulations.
This is Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavatam 10:33, 32 and 10:33, 35.
10th canto, chapter.
33, text 32 and 35.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yeah.
In text 18 purport, I didn't understand the second part. It's a very short purport. Says including many rakshas, but in order to save her husband from the charge that he employed his wife Sati to kill Daksha, because he could not do so due to, like, can you explain this? Who is that he? Shiva?
Yeah, he is Shiva. See the point that she's saying that if I kill Daksha right now, what will people say? The Shiva, he actually employed his wife to kill Daksha.
Oh, people say that.
People will say that.
Oh, okay.
And she did not want anyone to give
Say that.
any reason for anyone to criticize her husband.
Shiva. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
okay, 20.
Karma pravrittam chanivrittam apiritam vede vivichyopayalingamashritam virodhitad yogapadaikakartari dvayam tata brahmani karma narchati.
Hare Krishna. In the Vedas, there are directions for two kinds of activities. Activities for those who are attached to material enjoyment and activities for those who are materially detached. In consideration of these two kinds of activities, there are two kinds of people who have different symptoms. If one wants to see two kinds of activities in one person, that is contradictory. But both kinds of activities may be neglected by a person who is transcendentally situated. See two kinds of one person.
Right? So she's continuing along the same theme of the previous verse. So in the previous verse, she actually made the point that how elevated transcendents like Lord Shiva, they are not obligated to follow the rules of the Vedas. And here, she's actually making the point that how the Vedas, they explain two parts. Pravritti Marg, Nivritti Marg. Right? So what is Pravritti Marg? Pravritti Marg is based on the consciousness of a conditioned soul, Pravrti marg is those who are attached to material enjoyment. So it is basically saying, okay, you want to enjoy so and so sacrificial karma kanda process, yagya. You will fulfill your material. That's also there in Vedas. You want a good wife, you worship Lord Shiva, you do this. So that is a pravrti marg. What is the nivritti marg? Nivritti marg is where I say, okay, start detaching from the material world. So both are actually prescribed in the Vedas, right? Both are there in the Vedas. Certainly both of them are true. But it depends on what? It depends on what is the consciousness of the jiva, right? So it is, so here it says, Vivichya Ubhaya Lingam. They are distinguished symptoms for both. For Pravritti Marg, Nivritti Marg. Virodhi Yoga Pada Eka Kartani. Both activities in one person are contradictory. Brahmani Karma Na Richati. One who is situated in Brahman, he neglects both. So, what is the point here? Right, two processes are there. Pravritti Marg, Nivritti Marg. Now, one cannot say, I am following both the processes. Right? You cannot follow both. One is a process where one is trying to fulfill one material desires through the Vedas, and the other process is where one wants to detach from material items. Both are there in the Vedas, right? But it depends on the consciousness of Jiva, right? But here it says, if Virodhi Yoga Pad, so one cannot follow both. That would be contradiction. Brahmani Karma, one who is situated in Brahman, he actually neglects both. He does not perform either of these activities. So, what is the point? That Lord Shiva is actually situated in Brahman. He does not need to perform this Pravrti Marg or the Nivritti Marg. Right? Yeah. So, but both these activities may be neglected by a person who is transcendently situated. So, Prabhupada makes the point in the purport that how the Vedas are so designed that conditioned soul may enjoy in the material world under the direction of the Vedas, and eventually he may come to the he will come to the Nivritti Marg, or the path of detachment. Right? So, and then Prabhupada explains that how the Vedas explains 4 different social orders: Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Right? So, and each of them, they have particular rules and regulations. Now, if someone is a Brahmachari and then he starts following the rules of a Grahastha, then that is not right. Right? That is a contradiction. Right? So, if someone is a sannyasi, then he should not act like a grahastha. So, both have specific duties. So, similarly, there are rules for those who are transcendently situated and those who are actually in this, who are conditioned. Therefore, do not actually try to understand Lord Shiva's activities because they are. He is in a Paramahamsa stage, right? He is actually transcendental.
Vijay, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between being equanimous and being transcendentally situated? Is there any comparison, or is there any common?
So a quality of a person who's transcendently situated is that he will be equanimous. Right?
Okay. So would we say that Lord Shiva is totally equanimous to whatever is happening? He doesn't care what Daksha did or said?
See, equanimous
for himself.
Right. For himself, like he is not affected by praise or criticism, for sure.
Right. Okay.
He is not affected by this. But that does not mean that he does not do what is the right thing to do, which we'll see in the next chapter.
Okay. Thank you.
It's, and it's true for devotee also. Devotee may be like, okay, someone is criticizing or praising and he is not affected. But if there is something that needs to be done to establish what is right in the society, he may still act. So, okay. So text, everyone okay? Right. So what was 19 and 20? 19 and 20, the theme was basically that, you are criticizing Lord Shiva is not following the Vedas, but Lord Shiva need not follow the Vedas, right? He is actually transcendental, right? So that's 19 and 20, and then let's see 21.
Text 21. Mava padavyo pitarasmarastita yagyashala sunadhuma vartmabihi tad annatripara subridhir idita avyaktalinga avadhuta sevitaha.
Text 21. My dear father, the opulence we possess is impossible for either you or your flatterers to imagine. For persons who engage in fruitive activities by performing great sacrifices are concerned with satisfying their bodily necessities by eating foodstuff offered as a sacrifice. We can exhibit our opulences simply by desiring to do so. This can be achieved only by great personalities who are renounced, self-realized souls. Hare Krishna.
Hmm. So basically here, she's actually comparing, because Lord Daksha previously, what did he say? He said that how I am so rich, I am so opulent, I have all these Vedic sacrifices. But see, what is Lord Shiva? He's staying under a tree, he doesn't have a proper house, and see what he wears. So that criticism. So here she's addressing that and saying, Pita, O father, ma vaha padya. Your opulence is not like asmat astira, possessed by us. There's a big difference between your opulence and what opulences we have, right? And basically she elaborates and says, Yagya shalasya na. They are, what we have is not obtained by all these sacrifices, but what you have, you know, your position as being the Prajapati and your opulence, that is actually obtained by tat anna triptahi. One is satisfied by the foodstuff of sacrifice for satisfying bodily necessities, right? But the opulences that we have, they are avyakta linga avaduta sevitaha, whose cause is unmanifested, as are achieved by the self-realized souls, right? So basically, what's the point here? They're saying you are proud. What you are proud of is something that can be achieved only through sacrifices. What we have is not something that you can be attained by sacrifices. It is something of a totally different dimension. So don't compare that, oh, I have this material opulence and then you don't have. What do Lord Shiva and here Sati have? And here Vishwan Chakri Thakur actually says that Sati is saying, oh father, I have taken shelter of siddhis, power, renunciation, knowledge and prema, and which gives happiness. These you do not possess. Right? Lord Shiva has what? The greatest opulence of meditation. Vasudev, he's on Vasudev platform. He has that absorption of Vasudev. He's always absorbed. That wealth, can Daksha even compare to that kind of opulence? No. But Daksha is in his, with his material calculation, he's saying, oh, Lord Shiva is this, and I have so much opulence. So Vishwan Chakra Thakur, he actually says a dialogue here. He's saying, Daksha is saying, oh, it is my misfortune that I have the greatest wealth. I have such good conduct. I have a daughter who's staying in the house of a beggar. Daksha is thinking in that way, like Lord Shiva is a beggar, and my, I have, great wealth, I have good contact, but my daughter is staying in a house of beggar. But, since you or Sati are an ocean of good qualities and a crest jewel of purity, you should not tolerate Shiva's bad behavior. So Daksha is telling Sati that you are my daughter. Therefore, you should not tolerate Shiva's bad behavior. And then how does Sati respond? So she rebukes her father with these words and says, oh father, I have taken shelter of power, renunciation, knowledge, and prema, and this gives happiness. These you do not possess. You will not attain these in millions of births. And then Daksha says, why do you say that? I also have so many powers. And then Sati replies, such powers cannot be attained in a sacrificial arena. They are not praised by filling the belly like a crow or by following the path of karma, this karma kanda process. These powers, unavailable by these methods, are possessed by Sanaka, Narada, and others. Right? So basically, she's saying that what we possess are possessed by great sages like Sanaka, Narada, and others. You cannot achieve what we have just by performing sacrifices. By performing these sacrifices Daksha is doing, can he get prema? No way. So Sati's point is, why should you compare? You're not never going to, even in millions of lifetimes, you're not going to attain what Lord Shiva has. So therefore, don't compare with your materialistic vision. Right? So hence it says here, our opulences is avyakta linga avaduta sevitaha. Right? They are beyond, they are transcendental to all these material calculations. They are achieved by self-realized souls. And so Prabhupada explains how Daksha thought he was exalted in both prestige and opulence. And Shiva was poor. He was devoid of any culture. And then Prabhupada says, Sati, right, so Sati is making, the opulence possessed by her husband could not be understood or attained by a materialistic person like Daksha. Right? So Shiva possessed all these opulences, but he did not like to exhibit it. Could Shiva actually show material opulences? Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's he's Shiva Tattva. He can show everything, but he does not like to exhibit it because he has some more, a more precious hidden treasure, and that is his absorption to Vasudeva. And Prabhupada says that opulence is enjoyable in renunciation and love and love of God, which is possessed by Kumaras, Narada, and Lord Shiva. Right. And the performance of Vedic rituals, they are condemned here. They maintain themselves on remnants of sacrificial foodstuff, but the real sacrifice is to satisfy Vishnu. And Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying that, what is the proof that Sati and Lord Shiva have material opulences? Because when people worship Sati and Lord Shiva, they give whatever material opulence. So if they don't have, how can they give all the material? And that's a proof that they have it, but they are not concerned with it. Right? How that reminds me of the story of that Sanatan Goswami, right? How Lord Shiva, his devotee came and said, "Oh Lord Shiva, give me the best of what you have." Right? He said, "Go to Sanatan Goswami." Right? And when he comes to Sanatan Goswami, he says, he said that, "Oh, Lord Shiva sent me, and he said that you have the best gift that I can receive." And then Sanatan Goswami said, "There, a Chintamani stone. It's in the trash. You can take it." Right? I mean, just that point that the person took the Chintamani and then he was walking and thinking like, if that is the best, why is it in trash? Right? Similarly, the same point for Lord Shiva. He has all the material opulences, but why is he not exhibiting? Why does he not build a big palace? Because he has something more deeper, something more powerful, right? And that is love for Godhead. Okay, text 22.
Prabhu, isn't it that Prithu Maharaj, when he visits Kailash, there is an explanation of that great opulence of Kailash? Isn't that ahead? Maybe, I think.
Not Prithu Maharaj. Didn't we already? Yeah. It comes in.
Venas around before that or close to that section, Prabhu.
Isn't it there in that Pracheta section when they approach the water?
At the end of the, somewhere.
Yeah, it is there.
It's in the fourth canto only, I'm sure about that.
Yes, I think the Pracheta section, I think it is there. Okay.
So, I mean, how can it be said that there is no opulence?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
I mean, opulence from Daksha's calculation, materialistic calculation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm confused by that last statement in the purport, which says like worshippers of Shiva are more, more showered with material opulence. It's not Lakshmi. The Lakshmi is also the
goddess of fortune.
Fortune, right? So why is it that they are saying that worshippers of Vishnu are meant for spiritual elevation and they are not? Like their wealth is found to decrease. I was confused by that.
So actually, this is a conversation Prabhupada is referring, which comes in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 88, where there is a conversation between Yudhishthir Maharaj And basically Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking Narad Muni that I'm seeing that the devotees of Lord Shiva are so opulent, but the devotees of Lord Krishna are actually one way, poor. Why is this? Right? And then the answer is given that basically because those who approach Vishnu, then what does Vishnu do? He actually wants to give the highest treasure of Krishna consciousness. So sometimes for that, Vishnu actually takes away material opulence. Right? And that's why that verse is there, which Rana Swami Maharaj says, if someone hears this verse, the beginners, they leave Krishna consciousness. What is that? Yasyaham anugrinami karishe taddanashanai. That basically says that when Lord Krishna is very merciful, and he sees, oh, this person is sincere and he's very merciful, he'll actually take away the material opulences and then brings that person to a state where he's like, oh, Krishna, I have nothing but you. Right? And Vishnu, Krishna may do that. But what is Lord Shiva's position? You want material opulence? Take. Don't disturb me. I just want to be on the Vasudeva platform. I just want to be on the spiritual platform. Don't disturb me. Take. Right? So Lord Shiva's blessings are in giving material opulence. Whether that will benefit or not is actually Lord Shiva does not care. But what is Vishnu? Vishnu will actually, he will give in such a way that will actually finally give or take in such a way that will finally bring the soul closer to Vishnu. Right? So hence that point is made. Okay. So text 22.
Naitena dehena hare kritagaso dehodbhavena lamalam kujonmala vridamama bhut kujana prasangatas tat janmadhigyo mahatamavadyakrit.
4:22. You are an offender at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, and unfortunately, I have a body produced from yours. I am very much ashamed of our bodily relationship, and I condemn myself because my body is contaminated by a relationship with a person who is an offender at the lotus feet of the great personality, of the greatest personality. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada actually in Purport, he explains this point that how Lord Shiva is the greatest of all devotees of Vishnu and he is always in the Vasudev Sattvam platform. He is always in that transcendental platform. And now Sati's behavior here is exemplary. Right? Why is it exemplary? If we are connected to someone who is blaspheming Vaishnavas, what should be our position? We should actually give up that association. Now Sati is thinking, my body has come from a person who is blaspheming the greatest of all Vaishnavas. I don't want to keep this body. Right? So here in the Sanskrit, if you see, na etena dehena have krita agasaha. Do not want to keep this body because this body has come from you, which is actually the body which is produced from you is actually useless because you are committing offenses to Lord Shiva, and I'm very much ashamed of our bodily relationship. Therefore, because you are an offender to the greatest personality, right? Okay, next verse.
Text 23. Gotram tvadiyam bhagavan vrishadvajo dakshaya nityaha yada sudurmanaha Vyapetanarmas mitamashutadaham vyutsrakshayetat gunapam tvad angajam.
Because of our family relationship, when Lord Shiva addresses me as Dakshayani, I at once become morose, and my jolliness and my smile at once disappear. I feel very much sorry that my body, which is just like a bag, has been produced by you. I shall therefore give it up. Hare Krishna.
So yes, you see the verse starts with Gotram. The Prabhupada explains as what? Bodily relationship. And basically here, because of my family relationship, right? Whenever Lord Shiva addresses me as Dakshayani, right? Imagine like you're calling someone like, oh, you're the daughter of so and so. But whenever Lord Shiva used to call Sati Dakshayani, what was her feeling? Sudurmanha. She used to become very morose that I am connected to Daksha, that offender of Lord Shiva. And then Vyapate Narma Smitam, my jolliness and my smile, Ashu, immediately disappear. Oh no, I'm connected to Daksha, that offender. Right? Tada, therefore, Vyut Shakseya Etat, I shall give up this body. Tvat Angajam, which is actually produced from that offender, produced from you. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport, he says that how Daksha, he's the incarnation of all offenses. Amazing. Prabhupada. Because Daksha is an incarnation of all offenses. He is the embodiment of envy, and he has unnecessarily blasphemed the greatest personality. Right? Therefore, her body has become a symbol of those offenses, and is a constant source of unhappiness. Therefore, she decided to give up her body. So that's the verse that up to this point is what Sati speaks, and then now we'll see how Sati gives up her body and what happens. Okay, so this was, if you see the next section, we'll be going a little fast, and actually the entire next chapter is, we can go very fast. It's only like 2 or 3 verses have purports, otherwise it's just a storyline. Okay, so let's see any comments. So why did Sati decide to give up her body? What was the other alternatives she had? Who wants to answer this?
She could have killed Daksha, her father.
She could have what?
Killed her father.
Killed her father.
But was that an option?
No, Prabhuji. See, we read like she's a Sudra category, so woman, and yeah, it's not an option.
Because then people will say that Lord Shiva has used his wife to kill Daksha.
Yes. The main reason is because she did not kill Daksha. Why? Because then people will criticize that, oh, Lord Shiva sent his wife to kill the father. So she did not want that blasphemy. Already Daksha is blaspheming Lord Shiva. And all these people here in the assembly, they're taking the side of Daksha, and she did not want anyone else to criticize her husband, the greatest of all personalities. Right? So yes.
Prabhu, that point of like she considering herself Shudra being women, is it?
So see, in the 4 varnas, right? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So Prabhupada, see, in the point of that verse, like, what should one do when he hear blasphemy? A Brahmana, what should he do?
Blocks his ears.
Close his ears, thinks about Vishnu, walks away. For Kshatriya, he
Cut
should
the tongue.
cut the tongue or kill the person. Now Vaishya and Shudra, what do?
Kill themselves.
Kill themselves, right? So when this division is there, what is Sati thinking? Sati is not identifying herself as a Brahmana because she's saying, oh, Daksha is a Brahmana. She's not identifying herself as a Kshatriya. So she's putting herself in the other option of Vaishya Shudra category. What they would do, she's putting herself in that category.
Prabhu, if this situation where
I mean,
go
ahead.
If the situation where like Sati is not a girl, I mean she's not a lady, then what do you think would have changed?
Sati is not like,
I mean, forget about being married to Shivji, but on this point of like father is a blasphemer of a Vaishnava. A girl, we can understand like this could have been a resort, but for Prabhus,
I mean, your question is very, again, it depends, right? Like, let's say there was a storyline that it wasn't Sati, but someone else came to actually defend Lord Shiva, right? Another person, a sage, let's say one of the sages came to defend Lord Shiva and said like, oh, why in the sacrifice you don't have Lord Shiva oblation? And let's say he comes, right? And then still Daksha is not responding to that, or like now Daksha starts blaspheming this person. Then based on how the storyline will progress, then if he's a Brahmana, maybe he may just, try his best, and then if Daksha is not reforming, he may just walk away.
Leave the family.
Because that's what he may do, because he may just say like, I did my task. As a Brahmana, as a true Brahmana, I had to defend the position of Lord Shiva. I came, I did my duty. But if he's not transforming, what can I do? He may just walk away. Right? And imagine a Kshatriya comes, and he comes in a fighting spirit. Daksha, you said this. Lord Shiva is the greatest. And then he says all these verses. And then Daksha does not listen. Daksha is not transforming. And maybe he takes a sword, and so it depends on who is coming and defending Lord Shiva. But in Sati's case, she came to the conclusion. Therefore, in the last two verses, she says, therefore, because my body is this, I have come to the conclusion that I shall give up my body.
Prabhu, I was thinking that it is not that Sati was thinking herself to be a Shudra or a Vaishya. Rather, she was very humble, because, I am so helpless at this point. This body is yours, but I'm still my Lord's Ardhangini. I cannot,
Yeah. Actually, Prabhupada in the purport, he quotes in 17. Yeah, see, Prabhupada says Sati decided to give up her body because she thought herself to be among the Shudras and Vaishyas, just in the mood of humility. She did not, as I say, okay, Brahmana or Kshatriya, she said, okay, that's it. And then Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita, it says, Triyo Vaishya Tatha Shudra. Women, laborers, and mercantile class are on the same level. Thus, since it is recommended that Vaishyas and Shudras should immediately give up their bodies upon hearing blasphemy of an exalted person like Lord Shiva, she decided to give up her life. And so Prabhupada is quoting 930 to put them in the same category. But it's Sati's way of thinking that I will not do Brahmanas or the Kshatriya's duty. So hence I will do the other act.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
But the translation, it says, after, like blocking your ears and if cutting off the tongue, and after that one should give up his own life. It doesn't say that, doing all of this and finally you have to give up your own life also. In the translation of text 17.
What is your question?
It does. In the purport, it says that if the person is a Brahmana, he should just close his ears and go away. And if he is a Kshatriya, he should cut off the tongue. And if he is a Sudra or a Vaishya, give up the life.
Yeah.
But in the translation, it says after doing all of that, they should also give up his own life.
Yeah.
Does it mean that it looks like a contradiction? Is there a contradiction here?
I do not see the contradiction. Like I don't see the contradiction that you're trying to point out.
Why does the translation say after that one should give up his own life?
Because you have heard the poison, and you know how that example is given when the poison is inside. What should you do? You should throw away, vomit out the poison. So similarly, like the point is, because this body is now contaminated because it has heard this poison, it has accepted this poison by hearing these words, one should give up one's body.
But that doesn't apply to Brahmanas and Kshatriyas.
Actually, for Kshatriyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says Kshatriya should kill and then give up his body.
That's what I asked. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Kshatriya should do that. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes the point.
Sati also says that she got her body from Daksha because of that connection. She has to give up the body in the purport, right?
Yeah, because her body has come from Daksha.
From Daksha, that's why she wants to give up
She
her
wants to
body.
give it up. Yes, that's the other point also. Yes.
Prabhuji, we cannot can we, I mean, is Bhagavatam saying that, is it promoting suicide? I cannot believe that it's promoting that, it's saying that suicide is the way to go. Is it more saying that we have to cut off relationships? As I mean, I cannot believe that Bhagavatam is promoting a suicide.
See, if you see from, like, let's say from a spiritual perspective, okay, our human form of life is meant for finally Bhagavad Dharma, right? Elevating ourselves, connecting back to Krishna, reviving our relationship with Krishna. It is meant for that. Now, let's say something has happened in our life which the poison is actually just an obstruction for us to progress in our spiritual life because we have received the poison. And the whole point of this entire chapter is how poisonous is Vaishnava Aparadha. That once you hear it, is so much poison that, that how Sati is explaining that, when you take poisonous food, you just have to throw it up. And this body is now contaminated because it has come from Daksha and it has also heard the blasphemy of Lord Shiva. So in that way, Sati is making the point that, better I give up this body because it's so contaminated that I cannot, again from this point, continue, living, having heard all these offensive statements. So practically for us, what does that mean? Like, first of all, those varnas are not so well defined in Kali Yuga. So practically for us, if we are by chance hearing blasphemy of a Vaishnava, then first of all, you should understand how severe is this poison. And then what do we do about it? That's where we actually, maybe we take lessons from here and say like, okay, either we defend that Vaishnava being blasphemy, or if we cannot do that, we block our ears, we go away, But, as a giving up the body here for Sati, it is more because it's because her body has come from Daksha, and
But Prabhuji, Prahlad also is in a similar situation, right? His body also came from his father who was blaspheming Vishnu.
So your question is,
Like, should Prahlad also not have given up his body? I mean, if it is on the same lines, that I feel like that's valid. But again, I cannot understand. I don't feel like Bhagavatam would promote suicide absolutely like that. Not in the current world, and I don't feel like anybody should take it very.
Yeah, it's not like a
word to word.
Yeah, word to word situation.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, these are all pastimes for us to learn something like the deep realizations. And also, Prahlad is a small child. What all he knows is to take the name of Lord Vishnu or Narayana. I don't think he could think this far, like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think between Sati and Prahlad.
It is better to follow Prahlad, right?
Yeah.
I think we have read it somewhere that Prahlad is, as you're saying, Mataji, is just a 5-year-old boy. He is not in a position to kill his father, or that's not his position. But Sati can do that. I mean, she can.
She's a Maya Devi.
Up her life.
Not only she's in charge of the material energy. If she wants, she can do annihilate her own father. But at the same time, people like Prabhu was explaining also in the purport, people may say that Lord Shiva delegated her to kill Daksha. So she doesn't want that blaspheming to Lord Shiva, going to Lord Shiva.
Just like Sita ji could have destroyed Ram, right? But she didn't do that because she wanted to glorify her husband.
Yeah, Ram.
Similarly here, Sati wants to glorify her husband, that he will eventually punish Daksha.
So the point, like, okay, if you're going to compare to Prahlad Maharaj's story, So in Prahlad Maharaj's story, we see Hiranyakashipu, he is one way taking the position of Vishnu, right? And he's actually trying to kill Prahlad. But we see Prahlad's devotion, which is actually the focus of the Bhagavatam, that how in spite of all those atrocities that Hiranyakashipu was committing against him, he was tolerant. So what we are seeing in Prahlad, if someone is actually doing something wrong to us, then we are actually, if someone is blaspheming us, we tolerate it. Yeah. But in Sati's case, it is a blasphemy of a Vaishnava, the best of all Vaishnava. So Sati's position is, okay, I cannot tolerate it. If the blasphemy, if Daksha was directly blaspheming Sati and not her husband, then maybe Sati would have said, okay, whatever. I don't care. It's blasphemy of me. She's such a great personality. She will just tolerate it. But so that's the difference there. That one is someone is blaspheming us, and then they're just tolerating it, and the other is someone is blaspheming a Vaishnava, where you don't tolerate it. So
Prabhu, also the point of Hiranyakashipu's origin is also their Parshads,
yeah, so
So
that Jai Vijay story is also there.
they're evident, this is not Daksha, he's a Jiva. And there is no comparison with Hiranyakashipu and Daksha.
Yeah.
Although he could be way more dangerous than Daksha, he is very, very dangerous. But still, that is purely a pastime, and Lord wanted to fight, So Bhagavatam is a rasa book, so we should see the Bhagavatam through the relationships with the Lord. And also, I was wondering, Prabhu, that when you said about Prahlad Maharaj that he did not consider his own offense, and also Hiranyakashipu was directly only pointing fingers at Lord Vishnu.
Yeah.
If a devotee is para from man apaman, so the Lord is obviously it doesn't matter. Even the shoots, the arrows of Bhishma was looking like flowers petals to him. So the words of blasphemy of the gopis are like verses for Krishna. So how does it matter if Hiranyakashipu says good or bad?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
here the
yeah.
Vaishnava.
Yeah, here the Vaishnava Aparad is actually, that's the main thing.
Krishna Aparad is still acceptable, but Vaishnava Aparad is not. Like we say, right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Nama Aparad, Nam is merciful, Nam can take care of it, but Vaishnava Aparad cannot be accepted. I'll find out.
Well, if you see in Prahlad Maharaj's story, like he did actually, when in the conversations with Hiranyakashipu, we see how he did actually establish the glory of Lord Vishnu. But in that pastime, he knew that, if something needs to be done, Vishnu himself will come and do it. I am tolerant on the atrocities committed to me. I will glorify my Lord Vishnu whenever I get a chance. Even to Hiranyakashipu, I will glorify my Vishnu. But, I'm not going to kill Hiranyakashipu. But that Vishnu will come and do that. Right? And in this case, we see because of that Vaishnava Aparad, then Sati was like, I cannot tolerate this Vaishnava Aparad. My own father, I have tried my best to actually give him consolation, but he's not willing to be transformed. Therefore, I don't see any solution other than right now giving up my body. And we'll see further, we'll see how that, what does it mean that Sati has given up her body? Okay, so let's take a break. We'll come back and then we'll continue this story. And as I said, these verses will be going faster. And actually, let's see how much we can cover in the next chapter also. The next chapter will be more of a reading rather than an explanation while we'll be going through the storyline. Okay, let's take a 5 minutes break and we'll come back. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Please chant. One more time. Please chant. One more time.
Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. So let's continue. There is a story now on text number 24. Go ahead, Ratnalika.
Text 24. Maitreya Uvacha Ityadvare Dakshamanudya Shatruhan Kshitavodichim Nishasada Shantavak Sprishtva Jalam Pita Dukula Samvrita Nimil Yadrigyoga Patam Samavishat. I think Raj Prabhu or Pratna Mataji.
Maitreya said, Maitreya, the sage, told Vidura, O annihilator of enemies, while thus speaking to her father in the arena of sacrifice, Sati sat down on the ground and faced not. Dressed in a saffron garment, she sanctified herself with water and closed her eyes to absorb herself in the process of mystic yoga.
So basically here now Maitreya Rishi is continuing the story and he's saying, O Vidura, he's saying, O annihilator of enemies Vidura, iti adhare daksham anudaya. Thus speaking to Daksha in the arena, what did Sati do? And then it describes so many things like first, Nisasada, she sat down, Udichim, facing north, Shito on the ground, and it says Shantavak, she sat down in silence, Sprishta Jalam, she touched the water, right? And Pita Dukhala Samrita, she dressed herself in yellow garments in that vision. And then further it says, Nimilya Drik, she closed her eyes, and Yoga Patam Samavisha, she became absorbed in the mystic yoga process. So Prabhupada actually in the purport, he says, Lord Shiva is Yogeshwara. He knows all mystic process of yoga. Sati also knew, either from her husband or from her father. She knew all the mystic yoga processes, and hence she sat down, becoming absorbed in the mystic yoga process. And Prabhupada says the perfection of yoga is to give up one's body, is to release ourselves from this entanglement of this material nature, right? So those who are perfect yogis, they are not subject to death by natural laws. Okay. So basically here Prabhupada is explaining the mystic yoga process, and he says that how the mystic yogas, they control the airs, like we read about this, right? How there are like 10 kinds of airs in the body. They control the air and actually bring the soul to the top, like how the Sat Chakra is there, they bring it to the top of the brain, and then they actually, the soul will burst out of the head, right? And then go into another place. So mystic yogis, they have this power to actually bring the soul and choose where or when they want to leave the body, right? So so they have that power, and because Sati had that power, she actually started meditating on, became absorbed in the mystic yoga process. 25.
Kritva samana vaniloditasana sodanamutapya janabhijakritaha shanairidistapya diyorasi stitam kantad bruvor madhyamanindithanayat.
Hare Krishna. First of all, she sat in a required sitting posture, and then she carried the life air upward and placed it in the position of equilibrium near the navel. Then she raised her life air, mixed with intelligence, to the heart and then gradually towards the pulmonary passage, and from there to between her eyebrows. Hare Krishna.
So basically here is actually explaining Kritva Samano. She actually sat down, she placed herself in that equilibrium position, and then the Pran and the Apan, Anilo, that basically means both the incoming and the outgoing, or the upwards and the downwards breathing, they actually became one at the navel chakra, right? And then having controlled the seating posture, Jita Asana, what did she do? She raised her life air from the Nabhi, right, in the navel area, then gradually up to the heart. She placed the life air in the heart, and then with intelligence, she actually brought it towards the pulmonary passage, and then the throat, the middle of eyebrows, right? So she brought her life air all the way to the middle of eyebrows. And then here it says, Anindita Anayat. That blameless Sati, she was preparing to leave her body. She is blameless. She actually was doing this process of mystic yoga, bringing her life out here. So Prabhupada actually, he explains that this is the yogic process of controlling the air and raising, through the 6 chakras in the body. And then Prabhupada makes a point. He says, such practice is not meant for this age. I mean, even in this age, we have people doing, what's it called? Vipassana yoga or something, Right? There's some kinds of yoga which are actually, popular, that people talk about. Oh, I do so and so yoga, and that actually tries to bring the life airs, through the different chakras. But they actually say that if you don't do that properly, a person can go crazy. It can really go crazy. So here Prabhupada is saying that this bodily gymnastics, this is just bodily gymnastics. It is maybe good for like blood circulation, keep the body fit, but it has nothing to do with spirituality, right? Particularly in this age of Kali Yuga. Right? And then further Prabhupada says that any transcendental process of spiritual realization, it actually automatically keeps the body fit, right? And how is that? Just like, our lifestyle as Bhakti Yogi. We get up early in the morning. We try to sleep early. We get up early. Then when we get up, immediately take shower. Then when you're offering obeisances, we are already doing, what is that? Where they do yoga, they stand on their head. There's already like our lifestyle itself is in such a way that Prabhupada says any transcendental process of spiritual realization will automatically help keep the body fit. Right? As devotees, we come, we do practical seva, we cook for the Lord, we do all these services. Body is active, we are getting up early, it's a good lifestyle, it automatically helps keep the body. So one need not do all these other kinds of bodily gymnastics, Prabhupada is saying, just to keep the body fit. And that's what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. But maybe some devotees do some pranayam just to keep the body fit, then maybe that's okay. But to actually say that one would get spiritual elevation by these processes, that is actually not right. Right? Okay, text 26.
Evam swadeham mahatam mahiyasha muhu samaropitamam kamadarat jihasati daksharusha manisvini dadhar gatreshval anilagni dharanam.
Hare Krishna. Thus, in order to give up her body, which had been so respectfully and affectionately seated on the lap of Lord Shiva, who is worshipped by great sages and saints, Sati, due to anger towards her father, began to meditate on the fiery air within the body. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji Prabhuji.
So here it says, Evam, thus, Swadeha, her own body. And then further it actually talks of the glories of Sati's body. And how does it explain? It says, Samaha Ropitam Ankam. This same body, Lord Shiva used to very respectfully and affectionately, Adarat. This body used to be seated on the lap of Lord Shiva, that most Mahiyasha Mahatam, that most worshipful Lord Shiva used to have this body sit on his lap with great affection and respect. That Lord Shiva who is Mahatam, who is worshipped by great sages and saints. Like how we'll read in the 6th canto, when that story of Chitraketu Maharaj is there, where he actually sees that Parvati was sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva in an assembly of great sages. And that itself makes the point that how all these great sages, they knew the glory of Lord Shiva and that of in that Parvati, that they did not say that, oh, why husband and wife are sitting like that, it's not right in a spiritual assembly. No, this is the glory. So here it's saying that body which was actually respectfully seated on the lap of Lord Shiva, that body, now Sati is actually Jiha Sati Daksha Rusha. She's wishing to give up that body. Why? Because of Daksha Rusha, because of anger towards Daksha. And then what did she do? Anila Agni Dharanam. She began to meditate on the fire and air within her body. And Prabhupada in the purpose says, the severe example of Sati should be followed. We should be extremely careful associating with people who are disrespectful to higher authorities. So anyone who is disrespectful to higher authorities, to Vaishnava, we should actually maintain our distance, right? And then we should associate with devotees who are elevated to a platform of self-realization, right? So we have to choose our associate. Disassociate with those who are blasphemy of Vaishnavas, associate with those who are actually elevated personalities. Right. And then here, Prabhupada, towards the end, he actually makes a point that Sati wanted to transfer herself to another body to have completely uncontaminated association. Right? And next life, she'll actually become the daughter of Himalayas, Parvati, to have an eternal relationship with Lord Shiva. Right? So same Sati here, giving up her body means what? Her body, she was thinking, is contaminated because it's come from Daksha, who is an offender. Therefore, I want to give up my contamination and have that association of Lord Shiva, which is uncontaminated. Therefore, she gave up her body and became Parvati. Okay, 27.
Tata swabartushcharanambujasavam jagadguroschintayati na chaparam tadarsha deho hatakalmasha sati sadya prajajvala samadhi jagnina. Kushalya Mataji?
Yes, Hare Krishna. Sati concentrated all her meditation on the holy lotus feet of her husband, Lord Shiva, who is the supreme spiritual master of all the world. Thus, she became completely cleansed of all taints of sin and quit her body in a blazing fire by meditation on her fairy elements. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so here, so what is the point said? Tataha, then chintayati. She actually started meditating on Swabhartur. That means her own husband. Charana Ambujam Asan. On the sweetness or the nectar of the lotus feet of her husband. So she was, in the previous verse, she was actually meditating on the fire elements. And then she brought her meditation on the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. And then who is Jagat Guru, who is the supreme spiritual master of the universe. And then it says here, Dadarsha Aparam. And she was so absorbed in meditation that she could not see anything else. Just absorbed in meditation on the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. And then by that, what happened? Deha Hatha Karmasa. All the sins, the taints of sins, in Sati were actually destroyed. Right? And then Sadhya Praja Jwala. Just suddenly, in a moment, right? It says not the next moment, in a moment, as soon as her meditation was fixed on the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, where she was not focused on anything else, Praja Jwala, her whole body actually burnt, right? Samadhi by the fire produced by the meditation. So it was her own fire from her body that actually burnt her own body. Right? Now here, Prabhupada actually explains that how when Sati was meditating on the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, she forgot everything in relationship with the body. And then Prabhupada says, this is how we appreciate devotees' pleasure in concentrating the mind and attention on the lotus feet of the Lord. Right? So what's the point? That externally the body may have pain, but if the meditation on the lotus feet of Lord is so strong, that in that meditation a devotee may get so much transcendental bliss that he'll forget all bodily pains and bodily relationships. Right? So one way Prabhupada is actually teaching us that at the end of our life, this should be a position that we are so absorbed in Krishna that we forget everything else. All the bodily needs, the pains, relationships, everything. Our focus on Krishna should be so absorbed. Right?
Prabhuji, that does it mean the emotional distress will be also, like you're saying that bodily pain will not be affecting them. So
yes.
That means like emotional distress also will be nullified, right? When you are totally absorbed.
Materially, yeah. All material, physical, and emotional distresses will actually be vanquished. I mean, it will be like because you're experiencing so much transcendental bliss that whatever bodily pains are there, you'll feel like I don't even care for it. You're experiencing the higher spiritual bliss so much that you don't even feel anything else.
Right, it's fine. Mind is also included in it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right? And then and Prabhupada says here, when one becomes free from all bodily relationship and places himself in the position of eternal servant, then all the contamination is burned by the blazing fire of transcendental ecstasy. And that is actually yogic samadhi. That is the topmost perfection of yoga, is to burn, all these contamination by the fire of transcendental ecstasy. Right? So we need to come to a stage of Krishna consciousness where we are experiencing that transcendental ecstasy. And hence, our entire lifetime, we say, is a preparation for death, because we need to come to a point of experiencing that higher bliss. Right. Now, Prabhupada also explains in the purport, he says, Jiva Goswami says that when we say Sati gave up her body, it means that she gave up within her heart relationship with Daksha. Right now, Sati is no ordinary personality. Sati is actually the external potency of the Lord, right? The manifestation of external potency. So when she gave up her body, she is the one who gives bodies to everyone, right? Prakriti. So when she gave up her body, it means that she gave up her relationship with Daksha. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Sati, she is a superintendent of the deity of external potency. So she does not have spiritual body. So this is not a spiritual process, but she actually gave one material body to accept another material body, right? And transferred herself into the womb of Menaka to be actually born as Parvati, right? So it is not spiritual body, but another material body.
So, it's a question that when devotees focus their one-pointedness at the time of leaving their body on Lord Krishna, as examples, as like Parikshit Maharaj, so they end up directly in association with Krishna. Okay. We know that, like we have seen Mother Krishna Priya leaving, so we know where she is, definitely. So here, when Sati is putting her full concentration on the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, she's getting another body to again progress, because she will again do her tapasya, she will again marry Lord Shiva.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to understand, like, for concentration on Krishna, you directly either be at Brahmajyoti, if you're a demon, killed by Krishna, or otherwise you will
Spiritual
be
planets.
in Golok,
Yeah.
in Braj,
Vaikuntha.
Vaikuntha or Dwarka. So it's like so like Lord Shiva's is not that way, like
Here you have to see that, she's meditating on Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava, right?
Right.
So one way that, why is it said that she does not get a spiritual body? Because it's her role here to actually manage all this material energy, like how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, she's the superintendent of the deity of the external potency. Superintendent deity of external potency. And that's her seva. So that's why she did not accept the spiritual body. So she got another material body to associate with Lord Shiva and continue her duties of managing the external potency. And our acharyas are saying that it's not that she meditated and then she got a spiritual body. She's still here in this material realm.
But her material body is not really material, like in the sense, because like she does not have a death day as such, right? Parvati, she is Krishna's, she is eternally manifested always.
Yeah, but the point is her body completely spiritual in that way? It's so because she is managing the material energy, she can actually have a body that does not have to follow the laws of material energy, because she is the one who actually manages the laws, right? So that's why she is there. As long as material energy is there, she'll manage, and then when it's time to wrap up, then she will actually go with Lord Shiva, right? So that's her position. So hence our Acharya is saying that it's not that she got a spiritual body, that she was experiencing that higher state of bliss on meditation on Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava, but the transformation in the body is just like another material body.
Yeah, when we were reading that Lord Brahma's chapter also, this is the section, right, Prabhu, where he does not really give up his body, but he gave up his mentalities.
Mentality, yeah.
So,
That's good there. Yeah.
so
Okay.
though both the Shakti and Shiva are the same Tattva, Prabhu, in the sense like not really Jiva at the same time, Vishnu. Both are same, right?
I mean, in a sense, like Shakti, see how we talk of like, okay, from Radharani, her expansions are all Shakti Tattva. The reflection of that Lakshmi ji in the material world is Parvati.
Mama.
Just like the reflection of Lord Vishnu in the material world is Shiva. Okay. Okay, let's continue. We'll see what happens. So 28.
तत्पश्यतां के भुवि चाद्भुतं महद् हाहेति वादसमूहा न जायत हन्ता प्रिया दैवतमस्य देवी जहावसुन्केन सती प्रकोपिता.
When Sati annihilated her body in anger, there was a tumultuous war all over the universe. Why had Sati, the wife of the most respectable demigod, Lord Shiva, quit her body in such a manner?
I mean, there's tumultuous roaring all over the universe. The demigods of different planets, they were actually saying, Sati, she's the daughter of the greatest of kings, Daksha, and Sati, she's the wife of the greatest of demigods, Lord Shiva. She had nothing to desire. But still, she gave up her body in dissatisfaction. This is like astonishing that how Sati has given up her body. So Prabhupada in the purport takes us to one more point and saying like, Sati, she is the daughter of Prajapati, the chief of the Prajapati. She is the wife of the best of the demigods. Still, she has dissatisfaction. So hence, the only way one can have satisfaction is, and Prabhupada says, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokshache ahituki aprihata. Unless we come to a stage of ahituki apratihata bhakti, we will not achieve satisfaction. Right? So no possibility of satisfaction in the material world. Okay, 29.
Aho anatmyam mahad asya pashyata pragyapateryasya characharam prajam jahava sunyad vimatatmaja sati manasvini manam abhikshnam arhati.
It was astonishing that Daksha, who was Prajapati, the maintainer of all living entities, was so disrespectful to his own daughter Sati, who was not only chaste but also a great soul, that she gave up her body because of his neglect.
So here is saying, aho, oh, just like, all the demigods are explaining, just see, Pashya, just see, because of the neglect of Daksha. And here the word Daksha is used as anatmayam. Anatmayam. Yeah. So basically here it says anatmayam means he is like a living corpse. Why living corpse? Because his own daughter, Daksha. He is one way, Daksha, by being the Prajapati, he is actually the progenitor of all living and non-living entities. And now he has he has affection for his entire praja. He produces that whole, all the living and non-living entities. But he could not even, he disrespected his own daughter, where the daughter had to give up her body. This is so astonishing. Right? And then here it says Vimata Atmaja, he has disrespected his own daughter. Sati Manam Abhisham. And Sati, who is she? She's not only chaste, but she's a great soul, most exalted and a chaste woman. And she actually gave up her body. Right? So let's see. So this is the exclamation by the great cry by the demigods of the different planets. Text 30.
Soyam durmarsha ritayo brahmadrukcha loke prakirtim mahatim avapsyati yad angajam swam purushadvir udyatam na pratyashedhan mritaye paradataha.
Hare Krishna. Daksha, who is so hard hearted that he is unworthy to be a Brahmana, will gain extensive ill fame because of his offenses to his daughter, because of not having prevented her death, and because of his great envy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So basically here he says, Saha he durmasha hridaya. He's so hard-hearted. I mean, his daughter is right in the assembly giving up the body and he did not even stop her. So hard-hearted. And hence he is a Brahmadruk. He is unworthy to be called a Brahmana. Why? A Brahmana, by nature, he should be soft-hearted. He should be compassionate. He should be tolerant. He should be forbearing. Those are the qualities of a Brahmana. But he is actually a Brahma Bandhu. He's a Brahmadruk. He's unworthy to be called a Brahmana. And so hard-hearted. That's not the quality of a Brahmana. And it says, Loka apakirtim mahatim ava priyati. And because of this, because he has so hard-hearted, he will actually gain extensive ill fame in the world. And because of this aparad, because of these offenses, he will gain all excessive ill fame. And then further it says Purushadvit. And all this is because of his envy of Lord Shiva, his envy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right. Okay, now 31.
Vadatyevam jane satya drishtva sutyagamadbhutam daksham tat parshadahantum udatitan udayudaha.
While people were talking among themselves about the wonderful voluntary death of Sati, the attendants who had come with her readied themselves to kill Daksha with their weapons.
So imagine like all those personalities, followers of Lord Shiva, came so that they can protect Sati. But now, since they have failed in their attempts to protect Sati, they realize. They took up their weapons, and here it says, they stood up, Udatishtan, they stood up and then took up their weapons and they were ready to Hantum Daksha, kill Daksha. Right? And then 32.
Tesham apattatam vegam nishamya bhagavan briguhu yagyagnagna yagjusha dakshignagno juhavaha.
Hare Krishna. Translation. They came forward forcibly, but Phrigu Muni saw the danger and, offering oblation into the southern side of the sacrificial fire, immediately uttered mantric hymns from the Yajur Veda, by which the destroyers of yajnic performances could be killed immediately.
Mm-hmm. So when imagine like all these followers of Shiva, they are actually coming to kill Daksha, and Brigu, who's there, he actually starts Swaha and then chants mantras, and he says Yagya Gnu Gnanena. That basically he actually says those who are destroying this Yagya, you destroy them. So by his chanting of the prayers, he wants to invoke personalities to kill all those coming to attack Daksha. 33.
Ad Varjuna huyamane deva utpetur ujasa ribhavo nama tapasa somam prapta saharsh rashaha.
When Bhrigu Muni offered oblations in the fire, immediately many thousands of demigods named Ribhus became manifested. All of them were powerful, having achieved strength from Soma, the moon.
Mm-hmm. And Brigu was so powerful that by his chanting of these mantras, these demigods, thousands of them by name Ribhus, they actually manifested. And they all got their strength from Soma. Right? So then 34.
Tair alatya yudai sarve pramatha sahaguyakaha hanyamana disho bhejur ushadbhir brahmatejasa.
The Ripu demigods attacked the ghost and Guhyakas with half-burnt fuel from the Yagna fire. All these attendants of Sati fled in different directions and disappeared. This was possible simply because of Brahma Tejas, the Brahmanical power. Hare Krishna.
So basically these Ribhus, because they were created by Brigu, the Ribus were created by Bhrigu, they had that Brahma Tejas, right? And hence with weapons, they attacked these followers of Lord Shiva, the ghosts and the Guyakas, right? They were being attacked, and because they were so powerful, all these followers of Lord Shiva, they actually fled in different directions. Okay. Everyone okay so far? Okay, should we continue the story? It's just like storyline now. Next chapter, entire chapter is actually only like maybe 3 verses have purports. It's just like a story. So we'll continue. Text 1, chapter 5.
Maitreya uvacha bhavo bhavanya nidanam prajapatir asatkritaya avagamya naradat swaparshada sainyam chatad avararbudbhir vidravitam krodam aparamadadhe.
Translation: Maitreya said, when Lord Shiva heard from Narada that Sati, his wife, was now dead because of Prajapati Daksha's insult to her, and that his soldiers have been driven away by the Rubu demigods, he became greatly angry. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada in the purport, he actually says, Narada always carries news of such events. He is the transcendental news channel. So whenever something happens, Narada came to Shiva and said, Shiva, you know what happened? Lord Shiva, what happened? Your wife Sati, she is now dead because of Daksha's insult to her. And all your soldiers have been driven away by these ribus. And when Lord Shiva heard this, he became so angry. And then we'll see what he does. Next verse.
Kruda sadashta puta sadhurjatir jatam tadidvanir shotagrarochisham utkritya rudra sahasotito hasan gambhira nado visasarjatam bhuvi. Vasudeva Prabhu. Vamsi Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thus Lord Shiva, being extremely angry, pressed his lips with his teeth and immediately snatched from his head a strand of air which blazed like electricity or fire. He stood up at once, laughing like a madman, and dashed the air to the ground. Hare Krishna.
So here it is said that, because he was so angry, it's described that how his lips, pressed his lips with his teeth, immediately snatched from his hair. And if you see the Sanskrit, it says, Du jati, a cluster of hair, jatam, one hair, he took it out, that hair itself was like blazing like fire. And then he actually snatching it, he threw it on the ground and he started laughing. Gambira hasa, ha ha ha. And then he threw it on the ground. And then what happened? Text 3.
Tato titaka yastanuvas prashandivam sahasrabahur ganaruk trisuryadrik karalasam damstro dvalad agni murdaja kapala mali vividodyatayudaha. Shri Radhe Mataji.
Hare Krishna. A fearful black demon as high as the sky and as bright as the 3 suns combined was thereby created. His teeth very fearful, and he has hairs on his head like burning fire. He had thousands of arms equipped with various weapons, and he was garlanded with the heads of men.
So this personality, just from that hair hitting the ground, Veerabhadra was born. That's his name, Veerabhadra. And his body was touching the sky with thousands of arms, black complexion, and he was as bright as 3 suns together, right? 3 suns shining. And Karala Damstra, right? We hear this with Narsimha, Karala Damstra, right? It's sharp nails, right? And then hair, which are burning like fire, and is garlanded with like men's head, equipped with weapons. And then what do you do? Text 4. Let's just do the English translation. Who's next?
Rohini Nandan Prabhu.
Mataji, I won't be able to read, sorry.
Okay. Yes.
I can go. When the gigantic demon asked with folded hands, "What shall I do, my lord?" Lord Shiva, who is also known as Bhutnath, directly ordered, because you are born from my body, you are the chief of all my associates. Therefore, kill Daksha and his soldiers at the sacrifice. Hare Krishna.
So Kim Karomi, this demon, he came and he said, Lord Shiva, Kim Karomi, what shall I do? And then but the Anjalam folded hand. Even though he's so ferocious, he's actually with folded hands comes to Lord Shiva and says, Kim Karomi, what should I do? Right? And Lord Shiva said, because you are born from my own body, you are the chief of all my associates. Therefore, I want you to Jahi Daksham Sa Yagyam. Kill Daksha and all his associates at the sacrifice. Okay, next text 5.
Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, that black person was the personified anger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he was prepared to execute the orders of Lord Shiva. Thus, considering himself capable of coping with any power offered against him, he circumambulated Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna.
Here it says, Mene tada atmanam asangaramasa. It says, because I am created by Lord Shiva, I can actually have, I can tolerate any kind of strength, because I have the strength of Lord Shiva coming from his body. Therefore, he circumambulated Lord Shiva and he actually went to do the task that he was assigned. Okay, text 6.
Pratana Mataji.
Many other soldiers of Lord Shiva followed the fiery personality in the tumultuous uproar. He carried a great trident, fearful enough to kill even death, and on his legs he wore bangles which seemed to roar.
His trident was fearful enough to kill death. And then as this Veerabhadra was going, then the followers of Lord Shiva actually followed him with like tumultuous uproar. Okay, text 7. Let's see the list. Who is
Hare Krishna.
Mohan.
At that time, all the persons assembled in the sacrifice arena, the priest, the chief of sacrificial performance, and the brahmanas and their wives, wondered where the darkness was coming from. Later, they could understand that it was the dust storm, and all of them were full of anxiety.
Right, so all of them are full of anxiety that because they were coming, and Daksha and everyone who were assembled there, they saw like almost like a dust storm coming, and they were like, "What's happening? What's happening?" Text 8. Long Manjari.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Conjecturing on the origin of the storm, they said, there is no wind blowing and no cows were passing, nor is it possible that this dust storm could be raised by plunderers, for there is still the strong king. But he who would punish them, where is this dust storm blowing from? Is the dissolution of the planet now to occur? Hare Krishna.
So they were thinking, where is it coming from? So they were actually conjecturing in this way, like, where is it? What's happening? What's happening? There's no wind blowing, right? Not that the cows are passing because of that, the dust is actually created. And then also it cannot be plunderers because that strong king, Prachini Bharhi, which we'll read later in the 4th canto, he is still there. And because he is ruling, there will be no plunderers. So it cannot be plunderers. So where is this? Is this a time for annihilation? You know, and that way they were thinking, right? Text 9. Kaushalya Mataji. Okay, Karuna Purna Shakti Mataji.
Prasuti, the wife of Daksha.
Correct.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Good, Kaushalya.
Okay, next I will next. Go ahead, Mataji. Sorry.
Prasuti, the wife of Daksha, along with the other women assembled, became very anxious and said, this danger has been created by Daksha because of the death of Sati, who, even though completely innocent, quit her body as her sisters looked on.
So it's interesting that Prasuti, and the wife, like that's how we are reading this whole story of Daksha, right? Prasuti is the daughter of Swayambhu Manu. She could understand that because Daksha did not stop his daughter from giving up her body, he did not stop Sati. He is responsible for the death of Sati. Hence, this entire storm, is this danger, is actually created by Daksha. Okay. And then yeah, go ahead, Kaushalya Mataji.
Yeah, translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At the time of dissolution, Lord Shiva's hair is scattered and he pierces the rulers of the different directions with his trident. He laughs and dance proudly, scattering their hands like flags as thunder scatters the clouds all over the world. Hare Krishna.
So basically, this verse is saying that how the power of Daksha cannot stand in front of the power of Lord Shiva. There's no comparison. And here is saying, at time of dissolution, what happens? Lord Shiva, with his hair all scattered, he pierces the rulers of the different directions with his trident. That is power of Lord Shiva. What? And he laughs and he dances proudly, scattering their hands like flags, and as thunder scatters cloud everywhere. So that is what Lord Shiva does at the time of dissolution. So what is the power of Daksha in front of the power of Lord Shiva? Right? So one way it's already predicting what is going to happen. So text 11.
The gigantic black man bared his fearful teeth. By the movements of his brows, he scattered the luminaries all over the sky, and he covered them with his strong, piercing effulgence. Because of the misbehavior of Daksha, even Lord Brahma, Daksha's father, could not have been saved from the great exhibition of anger.
So here it says, after causing Shiva to become angry, who has unbearable effulgence, who is filled with anger, whose moment of eyebrows, who has fearful teeth, just by these, he scatters all the luminaries everywhere. Lord Shiva, just by his movement of the brows, he can scatter luminaries everywhere. So, Kim Swasti, how can there be anything auspicious for anyone who causes anger to such a personality? So, even if Brahma is there, how can it be auspicious for him, for anyone, including Brahma, if he has caused Lord Shiva to become anger? Okay. Text 12.
While all the people talked amongst themselves, Daksha saw dangerous omens from all sides, from the earth and from the sky.
Right. So now Daksha is seeing, now this is happening, and then the previous two verses have said like power of Lord Shiva is so great. The movement of his eyebrows scatters all the luminaries. He laughs and he dances, and the entire universe is actually destroyed. And all the controllers, are actually there. The hands of those rulers are thrown away, just like the clouds are thrown away by thunder. So to that power, what is power? And Daksha, now seeing this, he sees all dangerous omens everywhere in the earth and in the sky. Okay, text 13.
My dear Vidura, all the followers of Lord Shiva surrounded the arena of the sacrifice. They were of short statures and were equipped with various kinds of weapons. Their bodies appeared to be like those of shark, blackish and yellowish. They ran all around the sacrificial arena and thus began to create disturbances.
So all those followers of Lord Shiva, like Veerabhadra is there, and all the followers are there. They actually surrounded the entire arena, and they have short stature, weapons in the hand, and then it says blackish and yellowish, right? And they ran everywhere, creating disturbance. And then what disturbance did they do? Text 14. Yeah.
Some of the soldiers pulled down the pillars which were supporting the pandal of sacrifice. Some of them entered the female quarters. Some began destroying the sacrificial arena, and some entered the kitchen and the residential quarters.
All right, so this is how they were destroying everything. The arena is held by pillars, so they broke down the pillars. So the entire arena, kind of collapsed. Then female quarters, kitchen, residential areas. Then further, 15.
They broke all the pots made for use in the sacrifice, and some of them began to extinguish the sacrificial fire. Some tore down the boundary line of the sacrificial arena, and some passed urine on the arena.
Okay, so next.
Some blocked the way of the fleeing sages. Some threatened the women assembled there, and some arrested the demigods who were fleeing the pandal. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Next.
Maniman, one of the followers of Lord Shiva, arrested Bhrigu Muni, and Veerabhadra, the black demon, arrested Prajapati Daksha. Another follower, who was named Chandesha, arrested Pusa. Nandishwara arrested demigod Bhaga.
So 4 are mentioned, right? Maniman arrested Bhrigumuni. Veerabhadra arrested Daksha. Then Chandesha arrested Pusha. And Nandishwar arrested Bhaga. 18.
Hare Krishna, there was a continuous shower of stones, and all the priests and other members assembled at the sacrifice were put into immense misery. For fear of their lives, they dispersed in different directions. Hare Krishna.
Okay, next.
Veerabhadra tore off the mustache of Bhrigu, who was offering the sacrificial oblations with his hands in the fire.
He pulled off, he got the mustache of Bhrigu. Okay, next 20.
4-5-20. Veerabhadra immediately caught Bhaga, who had been moving his eyebrows during Brigu's cursing of Lord Shiva, and out of great anger thrust him to the ground and forcibly put out his eyes.
So Veerabhadra, the demon. And why is this? Because it's described that when Daksha was actually when Daksha was criticizing Lord Shiva, Bhaga was with his eyes. He was looking at Daksha and encouraging. Good, keep saying. And because he did that, now Veerabhadra said, okay, pulled out his eyes. Phew. And then, so Vishwan, and out of great anger, put him on the ground and pull out his eyes. Okay, next. 21.
Prabhuji, what was Brigu's curse of Lord Shiva?
So you remember in chapter 2 when there was cursing and counter cursing, and there was a whole section where Brigu actually curses the followers of Lord Shiva.
Followers of Lord Shiva, not Lord Shiva himself.
Was there anything on Lord Shiva? Let me see. Yeah, he curses the followers of Lord Shiva. Actually.
Okay. Thank you.
27 to 32 of chapter number 2. Okay. Further, 21.
Just as Baladeva knocked out the teeth of Dantavakra, the king of Kalinga, during the gambling match at the marriage ceremony of Aniruddha, Veerabhadra knocked out the teeth of both Daksha, who had shown them while cursing Lord Shiva, and Pusa, who by smiling sympathetically had also shown his teeth.
So Veerabhadra, he's doing dental surgery to both Daksha and Pusha. He pulled out both their teeth. Why? Because Daksha had showed them while cursing Lord Shiva, and Pusha was smiling when Daksha was criticizing Lord Shiva. Okay. Next.
Then Veerabhadra, the giant-like personality, sat on the chest of Daksha and tried to separate his head from his body with a sharp weapons, but was unsuccessful.
So he couldn't do it. Then what did he do? 23.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. He tried to cut the head of Daksha with hymns as well as weapons, but still it was hard to cut even the surface of the skin of Daksha's head. Thus Veerabhadra was exceedingly bewildered.
Right. So previous verse he used weapons to cut off the head, but he couldn't do it. This time it says it used hymns. He chanted mantras to cut off the head, but still nothing happened, and Veerabhadra was bewildered. Then what did he do? 24.
Hare Krishna. Then Veerabhadra saw the wooden device in the sacrificial arena by which the animals were to have been killed. He took the opportunity of this facility to behead Daksha.
So in the sacrifice they have this the wooden device where the head of the animal is kept, and then they cut. So Veerbhadra took Daksha there, put his head there, and then with that he actually beheaded Daksha. Okay, 25.
Translation Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Upon seeing the action of Veerbhadra, the party of Lord Shiva was pleased and cried out joyfully, and all the bhutas, ghosts, demons that had come made a tumultuous sound. On the other hand, the Brahmanas in charge of the sacrifice cried out in grief at the death of Daksha. Hare Krishna.
And last verse.
Veerabhadra then took the head and with great anger threw it into the southern side of the sacrificial fire, offering it as an oblation. In this way, the followers of Lord Shiva devastated all the arrangements for sacrifice. After setting fire to the whole arena, they departed for their master's abode, Kailasa.
So this entire chapter is just talking of how Lord Shiva got angry, how he produced Veerbhadra, how Veerbhadra along with his followers came and destroyed the entire sacrifice. They killed Daksha, they pulled out the mustache of Bhaga, right? Plucked out the eyes, mustache of Brigu, plucked out the eyes of Bhaga, they took out the teeth of Pusha, and then Daksha was beheaded. Now we'll see in the next chapter how Brahma will come and satisfy Lord Shiva. I guess in our discussion, this is the quickest chapter that we have completed because it's a storyline and no purports. But yes. Okay, everyone. So we'll see what happens next week. How will Shiva, like all this has been annihilated, and how Brahma will actually, first demigods will approach Brahma to do something, and then how Lord Shiva will be pacified.
Prabhu, is there any mention by the acharyas why Daksha's head was not being able to be cut by weapons and anything like that?
I didn't see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. I'll have to see like Jiva Goswami. Yeah, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur doesn't comment on that. Yeah.
Prabhu, Prabhu, I've heard this in the class that since Daksha was having animalistic propensities, so he was supposed to be killed in the animal
Like an animal.
way, and because his picture was going to be the one of the goats' head that was already been.
I mean, one way we can say, I'm just thinking or speculating about it, that because he is the head of the Prajapati conducting that whole sacrifice, so one way he was protected by that, that he's actually doing the whole sacrifice. But in the sacrifice, animals are actually offered. And when Daksha's head was offered, and we read that how his head was offered in an offering as a sacrifice, that's the only time when he could actually cut off the head of Daksha. So, any other way, maybe his head would not have been offered in sacrifice. But in this way, it was in that place where the animals are sacrificed, and we'll see further. Maybe we'll see when he gets a goat's head what happens.
Also, Prabhu, maybe next time, if we don't have time now, could you elaborate a little bit more about why Lord Shiva was so angry here and why he was so peaceful when he was offended in the assembly of Daksha? Like here he's like causing so much destruction and
yeah. Again, see, when it was coming to himself, he was tolerant. But now when his wife, Sati, who is offenseless, she actually gave up her body because of the insult of Daksha, he could not tolerate that. So when it comes to ourselves, we are tolerant. But when it comes to someone else, then we should not be tolerant, right?
Prabhuji, is Sati Vaishnavi?
Yes.
Like he's meditating on Lord Shiva.
Yes. Is that a question?
Oh, yeah. So she's not meditating on Vishnu, right?
Yeah, but Lord Shiva is actually the topmost Vaishnava. So and she knows that Lord Shiva is actually always meditating on Vishnu.
That's why the famous temple in India is called Vaishno Devi, because she's the
Vaishno
greatest
Devi.
Vaishnavi.
Yes. And why is she here? Because she's actually doing seva for Lord Vishnu. Like when she actually puts us in Maya, I mean, she is Maya, she actually puts us either the covering or throwing potency. It is actually to make sure that only those people who are qualified can actually go back home, and those who are aspiring, they can actually come to the higher levels of pure devotion. So she's doing her seva to Lord Vishnu. That's why she is so expert in her seva. You're on mute, Mataji.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, she's doing the thankless task, right?
Yes.
That's what we read in. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we'll stop here. Continue next week. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyo cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo.
Abhindeyo Namo Namaha.
Thank you all so much for joining. We'll continue next week. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Hare
so much,
Krishna.
Guruji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you.
So how Narad Muni had gotten Bhakti, I was like thinking that he's so good in information and broadcasting.
Narad Muni.
His name is Kalahapriya, bro. Another,
He's always at the right place at the right time to give the right news. That's Narad Muni's glory. Yes.
Kamsa also he says, oh, you want to believe that Lord will come only in the 8th time.
Yeah. And no wonder he is the one who comes as Srivas Thakur, not any other Vaishnava. It's only Narad Muni because it's such an intimate devotee. So, okay. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.